South Africa's #1 cheesecake needs LANCEWOOD, South Africa's #1 cream cheese.
I'm Zola Nene. I'm a chef and a food stylist, and I'm helping LANCEWOOD find South Africa's most amazing cheesecake. And I cannot wait to taste every single one of them. Cheesecake for me has to be baked. See, for me, it's the effort that goes into making it. It's one of those desserts where you can eat just a sliver of and you're so satisfied afterwards. So yeah, it's the decadence that I enjoy in cheesecake. Now, everyone has their favorite cheesecake recipe and everyone seems to think that theirs is the best, but actually mine is the best. And I'm gonna make it today. It's a s'mores cheesecake. So what I've done is I've taken 2 different desserts and smushed them into one. I can't wait to show you how to make my s'mores cheesecake. So first things first, I bake my cheesecake in a bain-marie. So that regulates the temperature. So the actual tin goes into a bath of water. So you're guaranteed that your cheesecake is gonna cook evenly through the entire process. And I use a spring-form tin, just because you've gone through the trouble of making the cheesecake, you don't wanna struggle to get it out. Okay, so just cover it in foil so the water from the bain-marie doesn't get through to the cheesecake. Just like this. Okay, so we're gonna start with the base, and that starts with your crushed biscuits. I use oat biscuits because traditionally s'mores are made with oat biscuits. To that, I add some melted butter, if you prefer. So what you wanna do is mix it until it resembles sort of wet sand, if you will. Right, then we take our prepared tin, and we're going to pack the biscuits into the bottom. And all you do is you press this evenly, making sure you don't have holes. So once we've done this, we're gonna pop it into the fridge because you want the butter to set and you don't want anything to move around when we pour the filling. Right, now we're moving on to the filling for the cheesecake, and of course it's chocolate flavored. Take some dark chocolate and melt it over bain-marie. So first thing first, you put the cream cheese into a bowl. Also, always remember, when you're making cheesecake, use it at room temperature. Often people get lumps in their cheesecake, and that's because their ingredients aren't at room temperature. So that's a top tip for you. I just love the smell of cream cheese. Oh, it's just so delicious. So next up, we're gonna pop in the rest of our ingredients. So that's some sour cream, so that goes in. And then I've got some caster sugar going in here. So I know you're probably inclined to take a whisk to this and make it much easier, but with cheesecake, you never wanna incorporate air, because the more air you incorporate, the more risk there is of it actually cracking, and you don't want to crack cheesecake. Here I've got some cocoa powder going in. You can sieve it beforehand, just go gently. Try not to get it all over yourself, which is often what I do. So lastly, I'm going to add some eggs before I add the chocolate. So just crack them into a separate bowl and then add them one by one to the mixture. Right, so our chocolate is beautifully melted, and ooh, look how velvety. Oh, you just know this is gonna taste really good. Okay, so then this gets added to the rest of our cheesecake mixture. And then this just gets poured into there. And you'll see that the reason why we set the base is so that we wouldn't disrupt it too much when we put the filling in. Okay, so just smooth it out evenly, just to make sure it's level. So I'm gonna pop it into the bain-marie with a bit of water in the base. Then that goes into a 100-degree oven. We're gonna bake it for about an hour and a half until it's smooth, velvety, delicious with a bit of a wobble. Right, so the cake has chilled for a few hours, or preferably overnight. And now I'm just gonna pop it onto the cake stand. It's ready for the topping. So all s'mores have marshmallows in it. So obviously our cheesecake needs a marshmallow topping, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some separated eggs. These are just the egg whites we're gonna use. Pop them into a bowl that's sitting over simmering water, and then you start whisking. So just whisk it until it reaches soft peaks. And I've got here some caster sugar that we're going to sprinkle in with the eggs. So you wanna add the sugar very slowly because you want your meringue to be glossy and to be very stiff. Okay, so I'm gonna take it off the heat. And I'm just gonna keep whisking for a few more minutes to cool it down a little bit more. You can see it's stiff, it's glossy, it's marshmallowy. I almost licked it. Okay, so now we're gonna pop this into a piping bag. I always try to use a disposable piping bag just because, you know, life's too short to wash a piping bag. Okay, so always squeeze your first little bit back into the meringue because you don't want to ruin your cheesecake now. And you can pipe any pattern you like. I like a little blobby, okay? And yeah, just pipe. So don't worry too much if your piping's not perfect. We're about to change the entire game because s'mores aren't quite s'mores without toasted marshmallow, right? we've got to toast ours. So I've got a weapon. So all you want to do is use a blowtorch and toast the top. Yummy. It's like the best part. Right, and there it is, torched to perfection. And you know what? It tastes better than it looks.
South Africa's #1 cheesecake needs LANCEWOOD, South Africa's #1 cream cheese.